Ooh, you know what time it is!
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the pod, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo,
and that's the end of the theme song.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo.
I mean, you're not gonna let him do it. It's his song. You should be a background singer, not like the
That's always
vocal
what
point.
I always sing
Just a
that.
little loud. You're really in the mic.
Do I not? Always, are you?
Who sounds better, Forever
It's
Amin or
obviously
Morgan?
Forever Amin sounds better, but even that.
I mean, come on. What's going on, everybody?
What up, dude?
Hey, how you doing, man? Everything good with you?
Hey, Morgan.
Hi, I always do
I
that.
just think it was a little weird, but anyway, what's going on, man?
How out of all days is it weird today?
Let's go, Kang.
It was just that part. Yeah, that's
I
perfect.
always do
You
both.
walked on him.
No, I sang with him. I harmonized in some ways.
I don't know, man. I mean, if you were on stage with Elton John, are you kind of like off the mic a little
If
bit?
I'm on stage with Elton John, I don't know what the hell happened, but two, I'm just like, no mic, just going,
Yeah, exactly. No, you know your role.
hold me closer, tiny dancer.
Shout out to everyone watching us live right now. Appreciate it. We'll start the podcast in a few minutes. The G-Man, Gary Gerould, stopping by today, getting ready for his 38th season as the voice of the Sacramento Kings.
False. We're not even talking about that. We're actually just going over every single recipe in that King's recipe book that we had the other day. That's going to be the entire show.
He had some stuff featured. He actually sent me a text about
Same.
that. Yeah,
He texted
yeah.
me.
So we'll talk to him and look ahead this season. It's almost here. Shout out to Davion Fanatic, who just re-subbed. Is that what we call it on YouTube? I don't know. The reality is he's still a member 4 straight months. Let's give him a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
Before we start the podcast, Morgan, Morgan has had to put up with something the last couple of days, and that is me talking, pretty much dominating my life this week has been AEW.
Wrestling altogether, but yes, like I haven't heard you talk about much else. And it's fine, but the thing is, it's like when you say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what's coming up Wednesday." I don't know if you're talking about the weather or AEW. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna be one or the two, one of the two. I just don't know.
Just really wrestling has not been this hot in this long. And so is the weather, huh?
There we go.
Dude, 116 yesterday?
See, he goes, those are his two topics.
116. Morgan said the dumbest thing yesterday. You want to know what she said, though? She goes, we should have put an egg outside to see if it fries. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's never been done, Morgan. Hilarious.
It wasn't about...
Put that out.
I wasn't going to record it. I just wanted a stupid egg and wanted to see, like, oh, does this really work?
Wow. An egg fries when it's warm?
Why?
Like,
why
is that cool to people?
I didn't invite you to watch the egg fry with me. I was just saying what I wish I did. And it's not like I have eggs because I don't even eat eggs.
Oh,
What is this? What is this, guys? What is this?
I'm just feeling the conflict, behind the scenes with AEW.
That's
it's kind of bleeding
AEW.
into
No,
real
it's
life
not
here.
bleeding into real life here. You wish it was like as dramatic here as it is there.
You realize we're about to go to an AEW show in a few weeks with this shitstorm around.
And
it's
insane.
insane.
It is insane, but also at the same time, if everyone's suspended and then we're like,
yeah.
cool. And then again, and I shouldn't say that because there are many talented people within the company, but at the same time, you want to see those top guys. You want to see how this drama plays out. It is like,
yeah, it's insane.
Real Housewives combined with athletics and wrestling. It's just a beautiful combination.
All right. Let's go ahead and start the podcast. So, you ready, Morgan? Mm-hmm. Deuce and Mo coming down. 3, 2, 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast. Recording this on a Wednesday morning. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. How you doing, Mo?
Fantastic. How are you?
What was that?
Because I always say I'm just so wonderful, and I'm like, oh, I got it.
But you're good. Everything's
Oh
good.
no, I am wonderful. I'm
Is this
great.
because at one time I criticized you saying I'm fantastic?
No, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking, I say the same.
Yeah,
but
you do. All the time.
But I feel that same way, so I'm just being genuine.
Well, we have a jam-packed podcast today. We have a lot to go over. There was a Jordan Clarkson Kings rumor that we should address. Mm-hmm. We also watched the Tim Donaghy documentary on Netflix. We got to say goodbye to Sue Bird.
Aw, peace out.
Patrick Beverley had some interesting comments. But today I'm super excited because we are going to be chatting with a legend. A guy that we actually talked about the other night because we were looking at the Kings cookbook.
Yeah.
From 1995. Let's bring him in right now. He's the legendary voice of the Sacramento Kings, getting ready to start his 38th season calling Kings games. He's the one and only, the G-Man, Gary Gerould. What's up, G-Man?
Good morning. Pardon me, I've just finished up. I was out early trying to fry eggs even before I got super hot on the pavement because I know that Morgan, even though she doesn't eat eggs, she was really curious about that. Yes. And I thought, well, maybe I can help out and, do the experiment, but it's not hot enough yet.
Okay.
Morgan,
Okay. Two things. Great bit. Second thing. Have you ever done that?
Why, of course. Hasn't everybody? Yeah.
It was so funny. So G-Man texted me and Morgan the other day because he heard about the cookbook that we were reading, the 1995 Kings cookbook. Yeah. You're talking about how the Geroud's No Joke Gumbo is actually your son's work. And the G-Man's chocolate cherry cake is elite, huh?
Yeah, I love it. If you have the dark Oregon cherries in there, then that's even a bonus.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you can buy them by the can, and I have a sweet tooth. I love anything that, cake, cookies, pie, you name it. I'm all over it. And funny that you mentioned that cookbook. Look what I have right
Yes, you have one.
here. You bet.
I love it.
I love that you have that. And it looks like it's in great shape, just like ours.
It is in terrific shape. The King's Wives put this together, as I'm sure you probably read about. And it was, some of the titles are a little bit stretched over the top, but there's some good stuff in there. Good stuff.
I love it, man. I absolutely love that. You still have that. You probably have a lot of cool stuff from the past.
Well, Marlene, my wife, she is the real saver. And I said, Marlene, we don't need that. No, sometimes, and she pushes it away somewhere and hides it away. And so we have a lot of stuff here, there, and everywhere. And sometimes she dug out a scrapbook, in fact, last night, and she was going through reading some of the different things and that she had put together. And this is a long, long, long time ago, dating back to my years when I worked at Channel 3 in Sacramento and then got unceremoniously dumped. And, everybody goes through those types of things somewhere along the line. It's happened to you guys, yeah. I know. And look at you now. I mean, now it's Deuce and Mo.
We're trying, G-Man. So 38th year coming up. Is that surreal when you hear that number, 38 years?
Yeah, it is. And I got kind of a late start. I wasn't, exactly a spring chicken when I started with the Kings. I was, 85, I would have been 45 years of old. And to have longevity is a real blessing. But to be able to do something that you have a passion for and that you love doing is just takes it to another level. And from as young as I can remember, and I've told the story many times, I always wanted to be a sports broadcaster. And this was back in the day, way, way, way before broadcasting was, kind of a thing for young people to try to achieve to. And the fact that colleges and universities didn't have broadcast curriculum, and there were only a handful in the entire country that catered to potential broadcaster types. So to be able to, kind of live that, make it reality, and then the amazing experiences along the way. And it's not just basketball with the Kings, it covers so many other sports and different opportunities. And, we've talked a lot about that in the past, and it just, I'm terribly blessed. And as you get older, you get a little philosophical about some of those things, and you cherish them. You hold them really close to your heart.
Deuce and I, we were talking a little bit this morning about how unique your situation is. And just, it's pretty cool that you, after all these years with, and just to be honest, losing team, but a team that you also saw some great times with, are still just as passionate as when you started. How do you keep that passion each and every year? It's
a challenge when you don't have success. And any broadcaster, the easy games are the dramatic ones that come down to the buzzer beaters or in or out, one thing or another. But when you're getting thumped, on a consistent basis, it's tough. You can't hide it. But I've always tried to be honest with listeners, with viewers. I don't think you can fool them. And I don't particularly appreciate people who try to fool, your audience. You got to be realistic. But by the same token, you try to find some little ray of light or a positive note here, there. And sometimes it's really difficult. Those nights when you're on the road and you're basically by yourself, and you're losing by, 45 or 50 or whatever. And there have been some nightmarish nights like that over the years with the Sacramento Kings. And those are probably just as memorable in a dark sort of way as, the ones that you win when, Harrison Barnes knocks down a tremendous buzzer beater a couple of times and lead passes from De'Aaron Fox or whatever. So it's a mixed bag, no question about it. but I do love it, and I don't take lightly the fact that at my age I still have the opportunity to do it. I'm not as good a broadcaster as I was years ago in some respects. I try really, really hard to maintain a level. You want to be informative, you want to be somewhat entertaining, you want to be, honest, as we mentioned, and it's just a special opportunity when you realize that there aren't that many of us around the league who have the chance to do what I do, and to be able to do it for as many years is kind of extraordinary.
Everyone's their harshest critic, of course, and you just said you're not as good as you used to be. Even if that is true, I don't think it is, because I still, I work with you side by side.
Bless your heart.
But is that tough for you mentally at times? Or like, I used to be able to do it this way. It's like we talk about with athletes all the time. They're in their prime of their careers, and then toward the end, you go, oh wow,
they have to adjust something.
Right. They have to change the way they play. I mean, Vince Carter was the guy, and then eventually evolved into a role player, all that. But is that tough mentally sometimes when you feel you have maybe lost a step?
You look back and you say, God, I wish I would have done it this way. Or maybe, and one of the areas that I notice is that I can't seem to articulate the thought as quickly and as spontaneously as I used to. And that's very frustrating to me. You find ways to try to disguise that. And one of the biggest challenges, and we talked about this a lot, and Deuce, you can relate, our broadcast positions have changed over the last decade so much around the NBA, where you always used to be courtside. So now identification of players is a much bigger challenge than it used to be. Some of the vantage points, if you're talking about Dallas, you're talking about Utah, Washington, some of these places, you are so far from the floor, and you're trying to, especially when you see a team for the first time of the season, some of the new faces. The NBA doesn't help you because there's no identifying number or anything on the warm-ups. So when they're on the floor for that 15, 17 minutes, whatever it is, before tip-off, you're trying to figure out, okay, who's the guy wearing the lime-colored shoes? Who's the guy that's got the tight braids? Who's the guy who's got the afro? One thing or another, you're trying to get those identifying marks. And that's a source of great frustration to me, because you always want to be at your very best.
Yeah.
And sometimes you misidentify someone, and it's like a dagger. You just, damn it, you get angry at yourself. And yet I know that that's the reality. And I also know that probably people will say, well, what difference does it make? It's radio. Well, yes, but you still want to do it right.
Yeah.
And there are some over the years that still tell me, and I don't know if they're just trying to stroke my ego or what, that say, well, G-Man, we turn the sound down on the TV and we sync up the audio and we listen, the radio call. And when you think of that, you say, well, they're looking at a big screen in their family room or whatever. Yeah. They have no problem identifying who that is. And yet, we're 140 feet away or whatever it turns out to be, and you misidentify somebody. And it happens a couple of times in a game. And it just, it frustrates you. I guess that's where I would leave it.
It wasn't until late last year that you started to travel again, that the restrictions were kind of lifted, and then, the broadcasters were able to broadcast on the road again. I'm curious, like, how much did you miss just the energy in a building? I mean, you obviously were in a room calling games, or we were at the Kings home games, but we're so far away, no fans in the building. Once things started to kind of open back up and you were allowed to travel again, how did that feel?
Well, just you mentioned the energy, and it's a huge, huge factor. That was probably the biggest challenge for all of us who were involved in those remote broadcasts. And, you got monster screens, and our production people, including yourself, do everything you can to make it as comfortable and as palatable as possible. But you don't have, and we would beg to get the sound from the public address announcer in the arena, so that just give you some semblance of presence, like you're there. But you just can't create the ambiance and the energy, and you feed off of that. There's no question. And so it was a remarkable time. And here's hoping that, we never have to go through that again. Although, philosophically, you can talk about, well, what is the future of radio and professional sports? And the hardcores in us, saw what Portland announced, a few weeks back, that they weren't going to do radio this year for the Trailblazers. And then there was, an uprising from so many of their fans and followers that they rescinded that. Thank goodness. And so they will continue to have radio as well as television for the Trailblazers. Well, that's an established organization. That's a team that's won a championship in the past. And you look at, Bill Schonely and then Brian Wheeler and those who are now carrying on, and you think about what would it be like when you get into your car and the Kings are on the East Coast and you can't check and find out exactly how they're doing. So that's something that, I think we all wonder about what the future holds. What 5 years from now, what's it going to be like? Because radio, there's no question, it takes such a backseat to television. And in the early years of the Kings, they were only on television a handful of times over an entire season locally. And then, was it 15 years or so ago, it became every game is now televised. And so radio takes a back seat to that. And I think it's my own particular feeling, and I would probably get kickback from the league on this, but I don't think they care nearly as much about radio as they do about television. And no, that's not the case. Well, yes, it is the case. And television, big money involved there.
Yep.
And radio just can't seem to match that. But in my mind, there's still a definite role for radio in all professional sports. And I hope that never goes away. And I'm proud to be part of it. And while I get frustrated sometimes because I think the league could help radio broadcasters more than they do, that's just the nature of the beast, and that's the way it is. And you have to accept it and do what you can and continue to strive to do the best that you can.
Well, it's such a unique art form still, in the sense of it's this live entertainment that's coming through your speakers while you're traveling, right? Like that's what I see radio for. And now
he's painting the picture.
That's exactly it. And it's the same reason why I enjoy like a live show, and that's why we even go live with our podcast, because we see the benefits of going live and how that can still be special and how people can feel like they can engage. So I understand that with radio on so many different levels. And I can only imagine how frustrating that is at times when you can't make other people see that. But I just hope that we all just evolve with the way that we listen to radio and how sports perceive radio and continue radio in football and basketball
audio
and
is
baseball.
still such an important component. You just may not get it in the traditional sense like you used to.
Right.
On your phone now and apps and all that stuff.
Right.
Sure. And you know what I love every once in a while, say on ESPN and on all of their different platforms, and there'll be a great sequence that takes place and they'll give you the radio call as opposed to just the television call. And you hear the emotion and it just, it takes it to another level. And those are special times when that happens. And we all want those, to happen in every game. And it's not always going to be that way. But when it does, you just hope that you can adequately create that, paint that picture so that someone who is listening can kind of see in their mind exactly what's transpiring.
Basketball's almost here, G-Man. It's crazy to think that the offseason, it feels like it's been so long, but it's like, it's right around the corner, less than a month away from the Kings' first preseason game and camp opening up. I tend to get excited no matter what this time of year, but I do feel like this team has a chance to be pretty fun this year. I think they've gotten better. I'm curious what you think, maybe your impressions of the new coaching staff. You're around the team in Vegas. What do you think about the Kings offseason?
I'm very impressed. And like we're always, all fans are optimistic when a new season rolls around. And even though we've been out in the desert for 16 years looking for the oasis, it may be in sight. I hope it's not just, palm trees. water, a fountain. Let's go. I like what Monty McNair has done in terms of strengthening the roster. I think unquestionably this is going to be the deepest roster that we've seen in quite some time. I think there's going to be good competition in camp for positions and to get a permanent spot among the 17 that make the grade, including the two who do the double duty between the G League and the Sacramento Kings. I haven't spent a lot of time around Mike Brown, but everything I hear from him, people I know who talk about him, who do know him, I don't think you're going to outwork him. I think he's going to hold people accountable. And I go back to, you were there in the room at the Golden One when he, right after the Warriors, in the championship, he's introduced formally as the Kings coach. And he talked about an organization lacking soul. And that has resonated with me countless times. And he's spot on. And I think that the Kings need that. And we're not talking about just players, coaches, medical staff. We're talking about everybody else in basketball operation, everybody who sells tickets, who market the team, who are involved in community affairs in one thing or another. You've all got to pull in the same direction. You've got to have the same goal. You've got to believe. You've got to be held accountable. And Mike Brown talks about all of those things with passion. And then you look at the new members of the coaching staff, and we got a taste of it in Summer League in Las Vegas. And I was encouraged. And in the fact that, Luke Laux has spent virtually his entire summer with De'Aaron Fox. And, he's on Fox's honeymoon when, Fox gets married. He's making sure that he gets up his shots and his reps in one thing or another. That's what it takes. That's how you build a foundation. Now, that being said, I'm also a realist. And you look at the conference and you start out and you say, okay, who are you going to have to contend with? Well, both the LA teams, the Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets. And then you look at, okay, there's this team in Memphis with John Morant that took big strides. Look at what Minnesota has done, adding Gobert and strengthening that roster. Well, there's 8 teams right there. Yeah. So what happens to Utah? What happens to San Antonio, Portland, Sacramento? It's going to be really interesting in my mind. And it's so important. And I think that the coaching staff has acknowledged this already. We've all scratched our heads in recent years. Why can't the Kings have more success on their home floor? You've got to start and you've got to win on the home floor. Well, the schedule makers have blessed the Kings with 4 of their first 5 at home to start this season. They're all playoff teams from last year, but you've got to get out of the gate and you've got to be healthy and you've got to foster a belief that you're good enough to beat these teams on a consistent basis. And so I'm encouraged, Deuce. I tell people, they say, how many games the Kings going to win this year, G-Man? And I say, well, to me, it's not the number. It's the fact, are you competitive in the fourth quarter? Are you, no matter who you're playing, no matter if you're home or on the road? That's where I measure growth in terms of the organization. Wow. And so I want to see that. I want to see that come to reality, just like Kings fans. And once it starts to happen, man, they'll be flocking to jump on the bandwagon from everywhere. And I love seeing what Mark Spears had to say to the national media and others who are saying, don't sleep on the Kings. And you shouldn't, because you start looking at the core group. You look at the addition of Keegan Murray. You look at Sabonis. You look at Fox, Davion Mitchell. Then you add a Malik Monk and you throw in, Kevin Huerter. These are good people who can shoot the rock and can do things and space the floor. The coaching staff, there's not a doubt in my mind they're going to light a fire. And I'm getting fired up right now.
I can tell, G-Man. You're getting me fired up. Let's go now.
Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
G-Man and I have like the basketball minds here because our ideas align exactly. I say the same exact thing, G-Man. I say this season, because I'm being a realist and you look at the Western Conference and everything and just competition all around the NBA, I always go, it's not going to come down to the win-loss column for this year with the Kings. For me, I want to see the product get so much more competitive, so much better on their home floor. I want to see a different culture, that passion, guys being held accountable, all those things. And I feel like they do have the right roster to head in that direction. And that's whenever someone asks me like, how many games are the Kings going to win? Are they going to make the playoffs? I just don't, I don't see these things. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but you have to build off of something. And this is like the first layer of that stepping stone.
But I don't think, I think those things can go together. I think you could still build on that. And it kind of goes to what Jordy Fernandez was saying in the episode of The Run that the Kings put out, where he's like, I don't give 4 Fs about winning or losing. Yeah. He talks about it's how you win, it's how you lose, it's how you compete. Yeah. And setting that foundation. But if you do those things and compete, you're probably going to lead to wins at some point. And
Absolutely.
so I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here acting like they're going to be like a 4 seed in the West. I just think they have a chance to be pretty good this year. It's going to be really hard because what you guys just mentioned, you listed off those 8 teams. You throw in the Lakers in the mix if somehow AD and LeBron are healthy. I mean, it's going to be really hard, but that's good. I want competition.
Exactly.
I don't want it to be easy. I want this to be fun.
And then G-Man, just going back to what you were saying about Mike Brown and the coaching staff and that passion that you're feeling, that soul that you just want everyone to be on the same page all throughout the entire organization. Is it weird to say that it feels different this year going into this season? Like, I have a hard time saying that because I don't say that every year, but I feel like there's so many hopeful people that do say that every season going into every single King season. But do you believe that? Because I do.
I do believe it. And that's what gives me hope. I mean, we've been down this road so many times with coaching changes, personnel changes, having hopes dashed and disappointment. And it's easy for that to kind of take over. But I agree, Morgan, with the fact that I think you have to be realistic while you want to be optimistic. And you put those 2 ticks together and somehow try to make it work. But this is different in a sense. And as I say, I haven't spent that time with Mike Brown and various members of the coaching staff, but the little time that I've been able to observe them in Las Vegas and in Summer League and some interaction prior to that, I'm really encouraged, and it's genuine on my part. And I'm hoping that this isn't just another mirage out there in the desert, that somehow this is the real oasis, this is the real thing. And Lord knows Kings fans deserve it. We all deserve it. I mean, this is our team, and we've experienced some really tough times and disappointing times. And yet we know that there's this hardcore fan base and people, they need the reward. The carrot's been out there and you've been chasing it, and damn it, it's time to grab that thing and munch on it, like Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
Oh my God! What am I thinking? What am I talking about?
No, I love it. Grab that carrot. I don't like carrots, but
nor do I.
Yeah, I would munch on one if the Kings are make the playoffs.
Grab the cherry chocolate cake.
Deal.
Okay.
Deal.
Now we're talking.
So G-Man, you had a chance to see Keegan in Las Vegas. He obviously had a really nice summer league. I was curious maybe what stood out to you about him, maybe on the floor, off the floor. What jumped out to you about the Kings rookie?
He looks like he belongs. He doesn't play like a rookie in my mind. In talking with various members of the coaching staff, everyone you talk to all basically were in agreement that he brings a comfort zone along with a skill set that is going to check a lot of boxes for the Sacramento Kings. I was so happy that they selected him at draft time. And I was just, because I thought, yes, I know you get into this philosophical debate about, do you draft for need? Do you draft for best overall talent? And normally I'm a big talent guy. But when I look at the Kings and I look at some of their needs, and I had a couple of people who were big Keegan Murray followers who watched every one of his college games on a regular basis. And they were telling me long before the draft, this is a guy that you want to keep an eye on. This is a guy that can help the Sacramento Kings. And I really believe that he is that case. I like the way he seemingly lets the game come to him. I like the way he doesn't show a lot of emotion. He seems to be very even keel. And young players have a tendency to, be all over the place. And I don't see that with him so much. And I'm excited. I want to see him alongside Sabonis and Fox and Mitchell and these other guys, because I think that he's going to be around for a long time, and he's going to be a real key to any future Kings success.
Yeah, I think that solid play, and just like you said, being even keel and just so mature at this. Some people say he's an older rookie. Whatever, he's still a young man. Like.
Well, one of the things that jumped out, and hearing him attest to this, he says that he was a hothead when he was in high school.
Yeah.
And the fact that somehow his coaches or someone got to him, and the message was delivered, received, and then he took action, and he's become so much more mature, whatever you want to call it. I just find that what a fascinating transition for a very young professional athlete to make.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the Kings' future, I think, in a very positive fashion.
And speaking of the Kings' future, I think something that we've brought up a lot in this offseason, and a lot of other people, even national media, there was that Athletic article, or I forget if it was ESPN, and it was Athletic, and they were talking about the players around the league with the most to prove this season. And for the Kings, they went around each team, and for the Kings, it was De'Aaron Fox. And I'm in agreement with that, because I think this is the best roster that has been around him since he's been here in Sacramento.
No question.
Do you have some high expectations for De'Aaron Fox this year?
Yes, and I think it's easy to overlook the fact the numbers that he put up after the trade that brought Sabonis to the Kings organization were eye-popping in many respects. And I think it's easy because he's so talented and he can do the job, when he sets his mind to it, on the defensive end as well as on the offensive end. But finding that balance, and I think all of the hard work, we're told that he now has his own, personal chef. He has his own basic personal trainer. And, all of the elite athletes who've had success in the NBA have done that in recent years. If it's LeBron, if it's Kobe, if it's whomever. And to see De'Aaron doing that, and, easily you can be distracted by the fact that, okay, he's getting married, the big marriage ceremony and all of that, that you kind of ignore your game. Well, that it appears that that's not been the case. And we mentioned Luke Lauk's spending most of his summer with De'Aaron and those types of things. And I find it encouraging. I think that there's a dedication on the part of De'Aaron that he is determined to try to take that next step and get to more of an elite level. And I'm very, very encouraged by that. And I'm excited to see how it's going to translate in terms of the Kings' competitiveness on a regular, sustained basis.
G-Man's got me excited for the season.
I know.
I'm ready to
excited.
go. I mean, let's get this going now. I was already kind of excited, but seriously, I am really looking forward to this year. And G-Man, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us. Do you have any big plans up until training camp opens? You get any last-minute vacations or anything?
Well, the big plan right now is to try to stay as cool as I can.
Oh.
Yeah, please stay cool.
It's just crazy. You think about the people who have to work outdoors in the elements, the people who keep us going, if it's air conditioning, whatever. I mean, it's just hats off to all of them. I mean, these are unprecedented times. And I hear you talking about, yesterday was the hottest day in the history of Sacramento, California.
116. 116. I never thought I would feel that.
I didn't think I would ever witness that.
So that's the first challenge is to stay cool. But no, I'll try to play as much golf as I can between now and the start of training camp. And we look forward to it. And I just, again, I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for the support of folks like yourselves. I love you guys. You know that. And I mean that. I mean that from my heart. And what you've done in helping our family when we went through some big challenges and losing our daughter and some of the struggles that Marlene has at this time, you're right there. And you count on one hand the people who have your back. And
your
I don't want
family,
to get maudlin about this.
No, your family, and we love you so. And I mean, we feel the same way about you and what you've done for us, not only just obviously throughout our careers and just the empowerment and everything. So thank you for everything.
Well, you just keep climbing the ladder, you guys. And someday I'm going to say, wow, look at that. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, G-Man, you're the best. And can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you so much. And I got to go to the barber shop.
Get cleaned up, G-Man.
Cleaned
Yes.
up here.
G-Man, you're the best. We appreciate you.
See ya.
That's
Okay.
the one and only Gary Gerould on the Deuce and Mo pod. Oh, is he trying to make us cry right there?
My
Was he? I
heart.
kind of started well.
I
up a
know.
little
I
bit.
was like, woo.
What was that? How's he doing that to us right now? I was excited for the scene, and I'm like, oh man, I just want to
You're the amazing human
Yeah.
G-Man. Don't be pushing that on us.
Chat, let's go ahead and give G-Man a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get to some comments from the chat, including Dean, who says, hell yeah, G-Man. G-Man's office is legit, says Adam. Mrs. Mac, I think, had something about it. Yeah, she says, damn, when G-Man is hype, I'm so ready.
Right?
Philip says, G-Man got dust in my eyes. Dang it.
You know, it is funny because Deuce and I was trying to explain to Deuce how I wanted to ask G-Man about his unique situation. 38 seasons, you guys. 38 seasons. And you think about season ticket holders that have dropped off because, hey, you know, the product isn't good anymore. This is really hard to do. Like, I know it's kind of ignorant to be like, G-Man has to do it no matter what. No, anyone can quit their job. No one's forcing him to do this. But not only does he do the job and do the job well, he does it with so much love and passion after 38 seasons and seeing so much different basketball. It's just such a unique situation. He's such a unique person, just an icon in Sacramento.
Yeah, I've said for a long time, I mean, just the way he prepares for games, he takes it very serious and he's very thorough. I mean, he's the type that does the handwriting game
Pencil.
notes. You know, every play-by-play person has notes with the roster in front of them and all their research, and he's always updating it. He's got the eraser out, the wide out, whatever. He's always doing that.
Yep.
And he does such a great job. And it was interesting hearing him saying that he feels like he's not as good as he used to be.
Yeah.
He's just very honest with himself, which I think goes to show you what kind of standards he has as a broadcaster. Like he's holding
Legend.
himself accountable, and he realizes that things have
Absolute
changed. a
legend.
bit.
Like when you can reflect after 38 seasons of doing this, I mean, that's the stuff that, you know, you see just the greatest broadcasters in this game do. And they go back, they see what they need to fix, they see what they like, and they're always down to evolve.
Well, we've got more coming up here on the podcast on Morning Chat. But first, we should tell you that we're presented by East Sac Fitness. Please ignore the lower third that says Night Chat right now. If you're looking to try to get back in shape.
Oh, here he goes. Oh, what? Oh,
I look kind of cut right now.
you say this every time we do an East Sac Fitness.
I know, but
read.
I really start focusing in on stuff. Like, look at this.
So what have you been doing to gain the pecs that you are
I don't know.
growing?
Let's say 8 straight weeks of working out 4 to 5 days a week at
Ooh.
ESAC Fitness, going to their functional fitness classes and clanging and banging. But seriously, what's great about breaking news, did not grow up going to the gym.
No.
Didn't
We're
grow up
all
doing
shocked.
squats. Well, I know you see me do a squat now. You're like, is that guy a pro?
Yeah, that's what we all ask. Yes.
But my whole point is they gave you the coaching and the guidance that you need to know what the hell you're doing in there. So you're safely lifting, getting in shape. It's a great spot to go. And they've got, if you're not into like lifting weights, they've got spin classes, yoga classes. It's amazing at ESAC Fitness.
Yeah, they have it all. And if you're just not into classes, it's also just a gym. So then you can do your own thing. And it never feels intimidating. That's one of my favorite things about this gym.
Except when you walk in and see me in there. Like,
Except
oh
when
my
you
God.
walk in and see Deuce and say, oh my God. So make sure you check out ESAC Fitness. Great people, great gym. Check them out today if you're trying to get back in shape or just get your health on, you know?
That's esacfitness.com. Also presented by New York Times bestselling author. She's the one and only T.R. Reagan.
Dude, such a beautiful family. I've been seeing some good reviews.
Okay, just
About
the
this
audio
one.
people are going, such a beautiful family. That's a weird thing.
So it's my mom's book that's
Oh,
coming
okay.
out in December.
And you can
T.R.
pre-order
Reagan.
it now?
And you can pre-order it right now, right? And so we obviously talked a lot about Count to 3. That was her last book. But such a beautiful family. Another one that is out, creepy thriller. So if you're into a nice, easy read while you're taking your last summer vacation, or you're trying to avoid your children on the weekend, and so you just want to get sucked into a book, make sure to check out trreagan.com, or you can go to amazon.com and just search TR Reagan.
And I'm sure when TR Reagan thought, hey, I'll make sure to advertise my book, definitely mention if you're trying to get away from your kids on a weekend, avoid your kids, read my book.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a mom of 4, like that's probably why she really became an author. She was probably like, yeah, kids, I gotta work, I gotta write. And she's like killing us all in her books and her thrillers. So genius mother. Genius.
Also, if you're a small business or a local business or a big business, whatever, and you want to be a part of the Deuce and Mo podcast, go to deuceandmo.com. You click on contact, enter your information, and let's talk. Let's chat. We're adding new sponsors coming up for the upcoming season ahead, and you got to be a part of the ride. Just go to deuceandmo.com. That's where you can get merch as well.
I'm chatting with some businesses coming up this week and some next week as well. But Deuce, I don't know if you know this about me, but it's just kind of like what Joey does with his stuff. I just like to build relationships within our community. So again, if you're just like looking and thinking about things, you don't have to commit. We can always just chat and build a relationship. Make sure to go to deuceandmo.com, click on contact.
I need you guys to do me a favor in the chat. If you're here right now, hit the thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and do that. Make sure to subscribe as well so you know when our content's coming out. Shout out to everyone watching us on Twitch too, including Neo, who resubscribed. 19 months for Neo.
Damn,
one of
Neo.
the OGs.
Give me a hell yeah.
Appreciate you always.
Tan Man Dan says Keegan is the truth.
Yeah. I love what G-Man had to say about Keegan too. And the fact that none of us are even talking about why can't I even think of his name? Detroit.
Jay and Ivy?
Thank you.
Damn, is that a shots fired at
No,
Jay and Ivy?
no.
What's that
That
guy's
was
name?
so-
that guy, the kid
what's his
from
name?
the
Ivy?
kid from Detroit.
Stop. So Jaden Ivey, it's so interesting how we always say winning can shift the narrative, and a player doing well can shift that narrative. And as soon as people saw Keegan Murray on the basketball floor in Summer League with this King squad, they've just been impressed and haven't said a word about Jaden Ivey.
All right, let's get to some other stuff this morning, including this Cam Salerno. Why did I mess that up? How do you say his last
Salerno?
name? We've talked to him before, and I just messed up his last name. I don't think that's how you say it.
Oh, did I say it wrong too?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so
Cameron, I'm sorry, dude.
my
Anyway,
God, dude.
he tweeted out that the Kings are interested in trading for Utah Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson. That's according to Brett Siegel, NBA. From Siegel's story, Clarkson has generated the most interest thus far with the Grizzlies, Bucks, Kings, and the Raptors. So on the surface, you start going, are the Kings really interested in Jordan Clarkson? I think a lot of teams are probably hitting up Danny Ainge and the Jazz right now, talking about Clarkson, Conley, and Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is no disrespect to Brett Siegel. I don't want it to come across that way. I just am very leery when it comes to reporters who don't typically break a ton of stories about rumors and stuff. I'm just one of those types, and maybe this is old school boomer Deuce coming in.
yeah, here we go.
But like Woj, Shams, Amick, Mark Stein, Chris Haynes, the local guys, when they put stuff out there, I'm like, okay, I'm listening a little bit. It's just, and maybe Brett Siegel is like the next great NBA insider, and I'm going to be late to this, but I proceed with caution when stuff like that. It doesn't mean I'm dismissing it. I'm just like, oh, we'll see.
Well, that's totally fair. And also, it's just like, look at all the teams involved. Like, what if it's just in passing and, a conversation, a phone call has been made because a phone call should always be made, right? Like, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build your squad, the depth in any way possible. I'm not acting like Jordan Clarkson's that next key piece for the Sacramento Kings, but there's no reason why he wouldn't be a solid piece for the Kings.
Sure. I guess my pushback on that would be where do you play him? Because you have Malik Monk.
Well,
you've got Terrence Davis.
I mean,
you've got a lot of guards already.
You do.
And
So
I know his resume. He's won a 6th Man of the Year. I know he can get buckets.
Right.
I'm not saying he can't help the team. It's just like, okay, is that really a positional need, or are you just going, hey, we need to add talent? Who cares?
Maybe it's we need to add talent. Who cares? And if they thought for some reason that, hey, he has something more than Terrence Davis does, right? Like, we don't know what Terrence Davis is going to look like going into this season or anything. But if they felt like, oh, he's established, he has this resume, he has this going for him, and that's the direction they want to go, I get it. I'm just glad that the phone is being picked up and they're talking about everyone. That's what should be happening.
I'm curious how many people in the chat watched the Untold documentary on Tim Donaghy.
We watched it.
Did watch it last night, and it was definitely interesting to watch. I think it was well done, but I also am not leaving that thinking anything really different about the whole saga. It was Operation Flagrant Foul. It was about Tim Donaghy, who was giving inside information and fixing games, probably, right? Is that...
He won't admit it, but yes, fixing games.
Yeah.
Take
NBA
it down
games.
to his grave, he said.
I mean, I don't know. I said before, I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Did anyone watch the documentary and believe anything that came out of any three of those?
Jimmy, Timmy, and Tommy? Those were the three main guys. I didn't believe an effing thing that came out. These are all con artists.
But can we just talk about how this documentary started? With, which one is this? Tommy?
I want to
Jimmy?
say this is Tommy.
He was just talking about how when he was a kid, he saw a bird shit one time, and he just wanted to taste it. He did, and that was his impulsive behavior coming out. I'm like,
He knew it was something he shouldn't have been doing. There's a lot of different things you shouldn't be doing, but you choose to eat the bird shit? Like, why are you eating bird shit? That's only going to do something to you. Like, you're not, like, offending the bird. The bird's like, thanks for eating my shit. No, that's weird. That's weird.
Yeah. I don't think he was trying to be offensive or anything. I just think he was just being weird and impulsive. I don't know.
He even said, he was like, I knew it was something that I wasn't supposed to do. I mean, well, no one should eat shit, right? like why is that the thing that you choose that you're not supposed to, the first thing you choose that you're not supposed to do? Like, steal something, like, why do that to yourself?
I mean, I know this is weird to say that was one of my bigger takeaways from it, but it was when you're watching it and I'm like, all right, let me get locked in. I'm eager to kind of see how this came together, how the relationship started. How did Tim Donaghy get to the point he's going to start being involved in NBA betting? Like, this is insane. And the guy's like, yeah, I saw bird shit. I'm like, where's he going? I just wanted to taste that bird shit. What?
That was honestly one of the most bizarre lines. And that's how I knew right in that moment to not believe that guy or anything that came out of his mouth. A whole bunch of shit. Get it?
Yeah, there's zero doubt in my mind that Tim Donaghy, when he got involved in that I didn't buy the whole angle that he was only paid $2,000 on wins. To me, I don't see why you're an NBA official making $400,000 a year and you're going to risk everything for $2,000 a winner.
For
it's not that much money.
$30,000 like all together in winnings. That's what they said.
So I say there's no way that he got paid way more to do it. And to suggest he was just going, you know what? I'm just giving some insider information. I know this ref doesn't like AI and they had an issue, so let's call Caring. And this guy doesn't like this guy and this coach. No, at some point, you understand what's on the line. Yeah. People up your ass calling you all the time. You're probably making calls that shouldn't be making. You shouldn't be making, no doubt.
He contradicted himself when he started talking about the mob guy, Jimmy, and was like, I was afraid at times that I was going to come home and my dog was going to be killed. And then he's acting like, yeah, but I didn't ever fix a game. I only, took those storylines and told people about who didn't like who. That's BS. Yeah. It's absolute BS. Because if you're worried about your dog being shot when you come home, you're making these calls to make sure that whatever team you had winning wins. You don't want your dog shot. It was just a whole bunch of liars, and they're so good at lying, and they've lied for so long that they manipulate people, and I'm sure there's so many people that actually believe them.
Yeah, and I also just don't buy the angle that, like, the Scott Foster tie-in, which I can't imagine if you're Scott Foster watching that, dude. Scott Foster, who's been criticized a lot as an NBA official over time, but his connection he was really close with Tim Donaghy, and they try to paint him like he might have been involved in some regards. And the phone records, right? They went to the phone records. I just don't see from an NBA perspective why they'd be like, you know what, we'll have Tim Donaghy take this. We're not going to implicate anyone else. Because if that ever got out, that Scott Foster was truly involved, it would be even worse. Then you're talking about the credibility of the league is completely in question when this has been going on for years and years and years. So I just don't see the gain in it. I think I'm not surprised that the officials were super tight knit and would go out on the town and go to casinos. I just don't think that they're all in this big gambling, fixing conspiracy theory with the league.
You just, at this point, you guys, you would just know. You would just know. There's you have people lying all the way to their grave. I get that. I absolutely get that. But there's also so many other humans that if they were involved, we would know by now.
And the league has tried to do some things because Tim Donaghy was talking about how you'd be with one officiating crew for a road trip. They don't do that anymore. They mix up the crews like every single game. The other thing is they don't release who's officiating the games until like the morning of the games. And I think the league critiques this stuff more so than ever. Like the video of these officials, they're graded every single game. They have to go back and watch every single play. The league, literally, there's someone grading them. So I just don't buy that stuff.
I'm with you. And someone saying Stern was a mob boss. Johnny Davis saying that. And the reason why I'm even reading that, because it's like, no, that's the thing with David Stern. It's like there's not a lot of things. Like, I like a lot of things about David Stern. There's a lot of things that I think are like slimy, whatever. But one thing I believe that we would know if he had anything to do with anything, right?
Yeah, sure. I agree with you. I just, like I've said, I don't think there's anything more to it.
That's
I think
what I'm
it's
saying.
Tim Donaghy. I think Tim Donaghy did it, and he did some questionable things, and that's it. Even the Foster connection, like, I understand the phone records. That looked a little weird, but I just don't see how the league would be like, all right, well, let Foster just stop doing that. All right, keep officiating. We didn't see anything.
Yeah. So it wasn't like this groundbreaking documentary. If anything, it was just like, ugh, you're all disgusting. You're just go eat some bird shit, you know?
Thank you. Patrick Beverley was introduced yesterday at a press conference. I wanted to play this back and forth a reporter had with the new Lakers guard.
You'll be playing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
They'll be playing with me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I made the playoffs last year. They didn't. That's the difference.
Have you guys started talking yet?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I'm glad that, we get a chance to play with each other. Then, anything else, I'm excited to see it go on. I'm excited to, to get the battling going.
That's what the reporter was saying. Like, you get to play with blah, 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 blah. He wasn't saying, like, it goes Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and then Patrick Beverley. That's not what the reporter said. I don't know why he's so insecure about that. Like, that's the shit that's got to stop quick.
It was so weird.
That's weird. Patrick Beverley has already done, like, 7 different things that have been very strange. The only thing that has been normal, I guess, would seeing him and Russ together, right? And being like, oh, they're laughing together or whatever. But I go, what's going to happen when adversity hits? What's going to happen if Russ isn't on this roster at some point in this season and then they're playing against each other? Like, they're not going to like each other again. Yeah,
if they're on different teams, sure. But I don't think it's going to be an issue between those two. Russ was at the press conference yesterday. They were shown, like, saying what's up to each other. They're competitors. Beverly has noted that Westbrook is someone he's wanted to play with for a long time. I think they're two guys that, like, literally, if they're on the same squad, they're cool with each other. They could put the past aside.
Okay.
I do. I really do.
I mean, you just heard him, even with the way that ego right there. That ego scares me.
I mean, I think that's part of what makes Patrick Beverley. I mean, I'm not surprised he did that. That's just his nature. He walks on the floor, and his mentality is he belongs. He would not be in the league if he didn't have that mentality. The guy was playing overseas. He made it in the league because
not work with people like that.
That's fine, but he's going to have your back. He's your teammate. He's going to have your back no matter what, and you're going to play, and you're going to be motivated. That's what I think about it. I think we look too much into that stuff. I'm sure like LeBron, AD are like, well, whatever.
No,
That's Beverley.
I mean, I agree to an extent, and you're right. Like, obviously, at this point, if we just kept talking about it, it's like we don't ultimately know. I just know playing with teammates that have been annoying that can benefit the team at times, you know, with their annoying nature. But then for the most part, it's just annoying. It's just a drag and takes everyone down. But anyway, there's times I really like Patrick Beverley. I just think his comments like that sometimes it's like, why are you doing this? Why? Like, who is that going to motivate right there? Himself.
I think his point was probably you can't put anyone above the team. Like, I made the playoffs last year. These guys didn't. I'm here to.
Oh,
help
no,
make the thing.
I heard him, and I get his point, Deuce. I'm still feeling that same way about
I just think you're making something out of it. I don't think it's that big.
I'm not acting like, oh, they shall fight now because you said that. I just am like, ew. That's how I feel. I feel icky after he says that. Like, what are you
But they
saying?
know who he is. They know that's Beverley.
I know. And I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just telling you my personal feelings from something like that. It's just like, ugh, I hate that ego. I hate that comment. I'm grossed out.
Yeah, if he said that about Sacramento, he'd be like, yeah, let's go. If he was in
That?
Sacramento, he'd be like, let's go.
No, I wouldn't.
Fox and Sabonis,
I'd be
they're
like-
playing with me. They didn't play,
I'd be
they
like,
didn't make the playoffs.
that is not what we need right now. I'd be like, this culture is not even established and it's very fragile. Why is he saying that right now in Sacramento? I'd feel so awkward and icky.
Let's get to some comments from people in the chat. Noel says, Tim Donaghy did try to have some compassion for the Kings, kind of admitting that something was going on in Game 6. It was a very weird moment in the documentary.
That wasn't
Yeah.
compassion. He was just trying to deflect and like put it on. See, look what was happening on a game I wasn't officiating. It's like, you're trash.
It was definitely a poorly officiated game for sure.
Poorly officiated.
Absolutely.
And they showed the highlight of Mike Bibby taking an elbow from Kobe Bryant and getting the foul called on him.
Yeah. 20 years ago.
Don't even.
Still talking about
Don't
it.
even.
Another thing we watched last night, Las
What?
Vegas Aces, Seattle Storm finish was incredible. Chelsea Gray dropping dagger after dagger like she has done the entire postseason. The shot making by her was incredible. But it was also Sue Bird's last WNBA game after 20 years. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at her as an athlete and you're like, look at her resume.
Yep.
It's a holy shit situation. And playing at such a high level until she's 41. You know, we always talk about Tom Brady and why he's on and some other older people. Sue Bird is incredible. She's iconic. And then you just think about women in sports and just being a pioneer and a leader for so long, for so many young women like myself to be like, oh yeah, like we can reach different levels. Just incredible. Incredible.
I think it was also cool to see so many people, at least on my social media feed on Twitter,
Same.
tweeting about Chelsea Gray,
Dude.
tweeting about the game. I'm like, dude, the WNBA is getting some much deserved love because the product is better than ever. And I hope we just move on from the point of, I know it's always going to exist.
Yeah.
But, you know, for years, it's like, the WNBA? Who watches that?
It's just not as good.
It's just not. They don't dunk. It's just not as good. It's terrible. It's like, you know, it's fine. It's okay if you don't watch it. Just say you don't like basketball. See, this is the thing with me. I just like basketball.
Right.
I love basketball. So I love seeing
Hoopers?
Yeah, people go at it in a
Dude.
conference finals, a lot on the line, big shot making, intensity. That stuff is fun.
I'm not going to act like it's all Becky Hammond that came into the picture and changed everything. I think these players are just incredible. You look at Asia Wilson, you look at Chelsea Gray. I mean, you look at so many
Plum
of them.
Dog.
Plum Dog. I mean, and we're just talking about the Aces right now because this is the team that we adopted. And there's so many others that are amazing throughout the WNBA. But then you look at what Becky Hammond has brought. And I was talking to someone earlier this season. I said, this team, they're playing a lot like it's looking a lot like men's basketball. And I didn't want to take down women's basketball by saying that, but in that regard, it was just fast paced. The flow was different. Things were just like going The rhythm was different. And you saw that grow and evolve over the season for this Aces squad. I believe Becky Hammon brought so much of that because of her coaching ability and where she came from.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that definitely helped. And I think that the players, it just, look, if you go back and watch an NBA game, go on YouTube and look at NBA in the 1960s and then compare it to the 80s and then compare it to what it looks like now, it's a completely different game. You evolve, you get better. And I think it's the same thing in the WNBA. We tend to forget the league is not that old.
Yeah.
Right? And these players are just more skilled than ever. The shot making,
Chelsea
the
Gray,
handles.
just ice cold, man. Just
amazing.
Yeah. Some fun basketball. Super excited to watch them in the finals now. So glad we adopted a really good team in the WNBA.
I've been very casual with it, but yeah, I just, it's weird with the NBA season comes to an end, and I catch Aces game, but I'm not watching every single one. It's just so tough to watch everything. There's just so much content out there, and it's like I feel bad, but it's just like I can't taking on being a fan of a team is. Because I like to dive all in. It's a
commitment.
I don't like to dip my toes
right.
in. I want to be invested.
It's a commitment. And I think something that has helped me over this season with the Aces, not only having the WNBA League Pass, but also having social media and following them and being like, this is the team I'm going to adopt. All right. So now following them, it's always on my feed. It's not just because I used to have WNBA, follow WNBA, not committed to a team, but committing to a team is giving, oh yeah, they're on right now. I'm going to go watch. Oh yeah, there they are again. Oh, look what she's doing this season. So it's been helpful.
Well, that's going to do it for the audio portion of the show. We will hang out with the Twitch and YouTube audience. We love you guys so much, but we gots to go.
You all have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
All right, shout out to the live people watching us on YouTube and Twitch. Nice guy, Try. Appreciate you guys being here. Open mic, Noel, Tim, even Tim, Brad. What is up, everyone? We'll hang out for a little bit longer. I can't tell you how excited I am tonight about AEW, but you have to admit, Morgan, this stretch has been insane. The fact that the main event happened at All Out, CM Punk beats Moxley, then there's a media scrum where Punk is just shitting on everybody. He goes back to the locker room. Young Bucks and Omega come, and there's a legit fight. Chairs are thrown. Black Eye. Sports Illustrated reporting this morning that several, like up to 10 people, I think, are suspended. Oh, by the way, MJF is back.
It's all
Holy shit.
Deuce can talk about. Did you have some dreams about it?
I don't think so.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's not in your mind 24/7, but it's exciting. I mean, we've been talking about it and just what it means for the wrestling world, and this shakeup is intense. But I also, because it's wrestling and I feel like I can speculate about the people a little bit more. CM Punk, I said to you the other day, I really like CM Punk. I think he's a good person. I think he stands in his own way with his passion and what he perceives himself to be, and that being as a wrestler and as an entertainer. I think he thinks he's just way up there. So he has a hard time when he's not involved because he doesn't think it's going to be as good. I think he thinks it really is the best when he is involved, and that shit's he's got to cut it.
I mean,
he's standing his own way.
The ratings suggest that when he's on TV, he is the best in the world.
But just because the ratings are suggesting that doesn't mean that, like, you look at so many other talented wrestlers, if they had more time, they could also be the best in the world. Sure, but
his beef is that Hangman was like trying to bury him a little bit on the road to their main event title match. Mm-hmm. The fact that CM Punk did that in a press conference is insane to me. It is just, I can't believe he did that. And for me as a wrestling fan, I just hope they could figure it out and turn it into a storyline. Like, look, what happened is what happened. But get together and make something of it, because this is embarrassing. The best comment I saw is you have real fighting over fake fighting. Like, put the egos aside and produce a good show. And that's the problem, is you have all these egos, and then Tony Khan right now doesn't look great in this. Now, I know there are people out there go, this is a big work, Deuce. You're getting worked. If it's a work,
it's not.
I hope it's a work.
It's not.
It's not, though. There's too many reports about it. It's insane. It's a crazy time for wrestling.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know. It doesn't. It puts this bad light on it a little bit in my mind, because you want to watch something where even a team, a basketball team, right? If you're watching people have fun together, and let's say in wrestling, they're supposed to be kicking the hell out of each other, right? Like, that's part of the entertainment, but you know that it's so well done and that there's fun behind it. There's a respect for each other behind it. You feel differently about the product. Same thing when you're watching a team. And right now, the team, the AEW team, it's just not.
It's dysfunctional.
It's really dysfunctional. And it's really hard for me to enjoy that. Being like, man, every single time someone comes down the ramp, are they even happy?
No, and that's like, even tonight, the guy that's, coming back and he made his return at All Out is MJF. And, let's not lose sight.
That was desperate, I think.
He left because there were issues with his contract. He was unhappy. Now he's back. And you call it desperate. They worked it out. Whatever. He's back. But the reality is,
the timing was desperate.
How?
I don't think MJF had to come out with being the devil and having this mask on. I think he could have had a moment by himself completely, and that would have been so much bigger of a pop. It just would have been so much better. But I think the timing of it too, why not have it at wherever we're going?
Grand Slam? I mean,
Save it for us.
because they do 4 pay-per-views a year, and All Out's one of their biggest, if not their biggest. So why not have him there? I don't understand that.
Well, here's the other thing. With All Out, I also didn't feel like it was going into it. You say it's like one of their biggest, or it is their biggest. The whole CM Punk storyline with Jon Moxley going into it just felt weird. It's like, okay, it's weird. So if they don't do this right, then I'm pissed off.
Well, think about it now.
And they didn't do it right.
Think about it now. Now it's a mess. CM Punk wins the title. Moxley, who was on this unbelievable run, is gone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's gone, but he lost.
Yeah.
After this crazy year he's had, wrestling everywhere, all over the world, different promotions. And then MJF's back, but all anyone's talking about is CM Punk, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega. No one's talking about MJF
the real
or Moxley.
fighting.
Like, yeah, Punk really...
He
really did something
he's
here,
the vet, and if you want to be a leader, like he acts like he wants to be, and he talks about everyone else being young and immature, then you have to be different. You have to hold yourself different.
You know what I want tonight?
What?
I want Tony Khan to start the show on the mic, announce a suspension. Hey, you guys are very aware of what transpired. We're sorting a lot of things out. We have suspended the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and CM Punk. And then right then, MJF's music. And he goes, cut it. Cut the music.
Love when he does that.
Tony, you've messed up a lot the last year. Get the hell out of my ring.
And then he just gets out.
Yeah, and then he cuts a promo talking about, this is my company, blah, 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 blah. You needed me back, and what do you know? You need me more than ever.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but too many egos. Shove Patrick Beverley in there, and there you go. All those egos can deal with it.
In the Twitch crowd, Stir Fry says, I know it's off topic, but anyone looking forward to the Sac Republic game tonight? Yeah, the big U.S. Open Cup final in Orlando. And that starts around 5 o'clock.
One of my favorite things about this right now, though, is the drama that's going on.
Yeah, it's
Spygate.
Very strange.
Like, who does that anymore? Who does that? Why spy on a team? Like, let's just keep it fair and clean.
So Taylor Twellman, he works for ESPN, But apparently he was the first to kind of report this, that apparently the Sac Republic were practicing at a field away, and that a staffer from the Orlando FC was there and was asked to leave and refused to leave. It's like 35, 40 minutes. It was like he wouldn't leave. And then in addition to that, the reason, I guess, why Sac Republic wanted to practice elsewhere, there's been some rumors that Orlando City is that's kind of what they do. They kind of spy on opponents.
How dirty.
Now, a couple of things. I know everyone's up in arms about it, but my thought is like, well, look, they caught the guy. It's not like he relayed all that information now. That's a good thing. They caught the guy.
Okay.
I don't think it impacts what happens in the game tonight.
You don't at all?
No, I mean,
like, what if they caught him too late? And he has like all of it right here, and then he just like spews it out to his squad, and it's like,
what did he even see? 35, 40 minutes. Hey, this guy is out there. Like, I don't know. Just play the game.
But that for us though, that's also because we don't understand soccer at a high level. Like, I
understand that, but they caught him. It's not like they caught him after the fact. They caught him in
and
the
killed
act.
him.
I mean, what's he relaying? Is he on a walkie-talkie? Like, all right, they're coming to get me right now. Here's what you see. They have this coverage going on right now. This guy's out. Oh my God. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
He swallows this like piece of paper that he has all of his notes on, and the drama is real.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for Sacramento, it's cool. It's cool to be in the U.S. Open Final Cup. I know they're doing a watch party downtown at the convention center inside. It was supposed to be outside. They're moving it inside because of the weather. I'll be following from afar. Sorry, this is me, and this is what you need to know about Deuce Mason. I love Sacramento. But 5 o'clock, AEW's on. I'm so
damn. Two screen it, man.
Okay, but I'm locked into MJF. I'm sorry, that's just me. It's no disrespect to Sac Republic. I wish them well. And tomorrow, if they end up winning, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I'm happy for him. I'm not going to come on and do night chat
not
because
gonna
Sac
lie.
Republic,
I'll be following it on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's how I yell at him
Am I supposed to be one of those phony people that now, like, hey, they're in a championship, so I'm like, yeah, let's go in Dumb Little City. Like, of course, I'm Sacramento. I love Sacramento. I'm born and raised here. I want them to do well.
Here's the other thing, too.
I'm not a soccer expert.
If I saw on Twitter, like, toward the end of the match, things are getting crazy. Like, that's when I for sure flip the switch on and...
we're casuals.
Yeah, it's the same thing I did. I did the same thing with Serena Williams. Like, I mean, the amount of people watching her match, millions of people did the same damn thing that we all did with Serena Williams in her possible final match, So it's like, I don't watch tennis. I don't watch a lot of soccer. So I just flip it on when I know something is exciting and going on.
I'm not a fan of the people who, like, the final happens and they're like, they act as if they've been all in the whole time. It's like, no, it's cool. You're taking pride in your city and want to watch it, but just enjoy it.
Let the people be bandwagoners, though, right? Don't get mad.
Once you hop on, you don't hop off. That's the rule. You're in. You're not going anywhere. You can't be bandwagon jumping. I think that's fair. Okay. Oh, you're allowed to leave a team, Morgan. Once you're on a bandwagon.
I guess with like USL Soccer, I'm like, the more people, the merrier, right?
Yeah, but stay on, man.
Okay.
Don't be a front runner.
Damn.
Imagine if we started doing night chat, but we launched it when the Kings were good.
Yes.
People would be like,
who are you?
You guys never talk about now you're doing it. Like tonight, imagine if we were like, hey, let's do a night chat, Sac Republic edition. It would be so phony.
Hey.
We'd be like, oh man, I just never forget that at the 45-minute mark. Like,
do you think we're going to see a lot more Kings podcasts next year if they're good?
I mean, there are 800 Kings podcasts now. I don't know.
803 maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I think there's going to constantly, when things are going well, there's going to be constantly people who want to cover it and do it differently.
Okay.
Good luck.
We'll be here.
We will smash you.
No, there's room for everyone.
Neo says, I was born onto the Kings train, and then the train malfunctioned, and we've all been getting dragged in the gravel by it for 16 years.
So dramatic.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Stephen Brown says, it's okay to hop on and off. It's soccer, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I guess I'm more directing it, and yeah, it's probably a very small amount of people, so I shouldn't even talk about it. But I was just saying, like, there are some people who, when they hop onto something, like, enjoy it, but I don't know. I think some people go so over the top, and it's like, are you trying to pretend like you're a big fan? Because this is, you never talk about this, and now you're into it.
Number one.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's fine. Like,
it's like, just be consistent. You know, just be consistent.
Yeah, that's all.
That's why for me, you know, it is interesting because I've been a Niners fan my whole life, and with the Niners this last year, getting new gigs and everything and having a different role and different prep time that goes into the work that you and I were both doing, it was tough to be that like hardcore follow my team kind of thing. So I realized like I can still be a fan and follow my team. I just find myself though like not talking about them with other people, not tweeting about them.
Your relationship has changed.
Yeah,
and
it's
we
adjusted.
also don't do a sports podcast. We used to talk about the Niners a lot.
Now
we don't.
NBA, baby.
Basketball. Ball is life.
Ball.
And AEW.
I guess so.
Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out today. We appreciate you guys. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. We love you guys, but we got to go.
You all have the best day ever. Thanks for being here. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.